Welcome to Women Insurepreneurs, the podcast empowering female insurance agents to thrive in the industry. Join us as we dive into the world of insurance entrepreneurship, share success stories, and provide invaluable insights through the lens of female entrepreneurship. Let's unleash the power of women in insurance together. Back to another episode of Women Insurepreneurs. Today is a very special one. I'm joined here by Angie, who is the artist and owner of Eyebrows by Angie. So Angie, thank you for coming and welcome.
Welcome, Angie. Welcome.
I want to start by kind of just having you introduce a little bit of your background. Tell us about yourself and what do you do?
So eyebrow artist and owner of Eyebrows by Angie. So from Chicago, from the northwest side of Chicago. I'm servicing the Elmwood Park community. So I'm in there, but I get clients from all over Chicagoland, so that's a great thing. But I do natural brows, so anything natural, tinting, waxing, laminations. I don't do anything permanent, so pretty known as the natural brow artist.
Nice.
She does my eyebrows, guys, by the way.
Ah,
And how long have you been doing eyebrows in general?
I've been doing eyebrows for next year. 2025 will be 10 years that I've been doing eyebrows professionally, but I did pick up the, I guess, skill set in high school.
Mhm.
I just it was just like a hobby that I wanted to pick up, and I started doing it on the side. And yeah, here we are. Just kind of developed into something, I guess, long term. I didn't see it as a career, but here we are.
And how long have you been doing it as a self-employed or entrepreneur?
It'll be 4 years since the pandemic. So prior to the pandemic, 2020, I was doing eyebrows, but I was also working like a part-time job. And it's crazy because the pandemic happened and, we had to shut down. And then we were able to go back to work. And I thought, like, man, I'm not going to get any clients, right? Because everyone's like slowly making their way back into work. I'm sure people are now dealing with like, their finances and just prioritizing. And I was just super fearful. And no, I went back to work. What was it, June of that year. And I was just getting a ton of new faces, and my business kind of took off, and I didn't have to go back to my part-time job. So
nice. It's an awesome feeling.
yeah.
And what would you say in the last 4 years is one of the biggest lessons that you've learned so far as you kind of stepped into that more and as you stepped into that entrepreneurial role?
I would say the biggest lesson I learned is how to manage money. Management was huge for me. When you own a small business or any business for that matter, I feel like, you always need a cushion because things are going to arise. You want to buy different things for your space, at least for me, like my studio space. I'm always thinking of ways of how to like better my space, whether that be with new products or furniture for decor, whatever it is. And so that's one thing I learned for sure is how to manage my money, how to keep a cushion on the side for my business, how to prioritize my finances. So that was a real big one for me.
Yeah,
Managing going full time, because when I went back to work in June of that year, 2020, I was now full time. I didn't have my part-time job anymore. So it was just like, now this is all I have.
Yeah, you gotta figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
And what would you say is maybe some of the challenges, some of the challenges that you faced, or maybe you are facing, and how did you overcome it or plan to overcome?
Yeah, one of my biggest challenges I feel that I've been kind of facing for a while now, within the like last year or two, is content. Just kind of putting myself out there. That's a real big one for me. I just feel that I feel that I'm tech and social media illiterate. I don't know too much. I'm not really savvy. And so that's a huge challenge for me, because now I have to outsource and I have to find people to do things for me. Like, can I hire you for content? Can you do this video for me? Can you do this post for me? And it's been my biggest challenge. Um, because sometimes I kind of want to dive in and post things myself and share whatever it is that I want to share, but I just don't know how to do it. Like, I have all the ideas in my brain, it's just I don't know how to execute. And so that's been my greatest challenge. And then when I find these content creators, it's been hard to find someone who really understands like what I'm looking for, who catches my vision, someone.
Matches your brand.
No, not that. Finding someone who is kind of, I want to say, making my business a priority, right? Because I'm sure that content creator has other things to do, but I guess managing their time, or kind of meeting my timeline in a
Yeah.
sense. If I have a job for them and they're going to work on it, I have a challenge and a hard time with finding people who are getting things done for me, like in a timely manner. And that would be my biggest challenge right now, is just like content. And I kind of took a step back for a while just to find, to give it some time and give it some thought and kind of brainstorm and figure out how I want to move forward, like in this next half of the year. And yeah, I look forward to learning and kind of tapping into that
Yeah.
a little more.
I actually might have a resource for you. And maybe anybody listening, depending on, I can't remember when this one's going to air, but regardless of when it airs, but this girl that I met in Miami, she owns a digital marketing company, and she's doing like a workshop. It's 8 days. She's giving some away for free, just I guess to help people, and in return, you have to like create some reels or some stories for her. But she teaches everything about social media, SEO, like all of those things. So remind me to ask about that for you. And then
Yeah, for sure.
for those listening, if this airs and that has already passed, I still encourage you. I'll tag her in the show notes, but she's really good. She was in Forbes under 30, and she's comes from a different country, but she's really, really versed in that stuff. So, because having social media, regardless, is important for your business. Like, you
Hmm.
would think like Angie's an in-person business, right? So yeah, it's word of mouth, but she still needs a social media presence, I would assume, because the first place people are going to want to go to look at your work is Instagram. Let me see her work before I even trust her with my browse. So, or Facebook or whatever. But so that makes
Yeah.
sense. You,
I agree. I think social media is not only is it free advertisement, but you reach so many people, so many levels, and people that are like, man, I didn't even know I found so many things on social media that it's like, oh wow, I got to try this. Like I'm a total foodie, and sometimes just these simple stands right on the street that I want to check out because I saw them on social media. So yeah,
yeah,
it's a great tool I think when it comes to entrepreneurs.
yeah. How
Yeah.
many times have you been at a party or something and someone's like, oh, my new nail lady or my this, that? I'll send her your page. I'll send you her page or whatever. So yeah,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
need to have it. Um, do you feel like you have had any mentorship and or support, I guess, that has been instrumental for you, again, while you kind of transition from employee to entrepreneur?
Yeah, I mean, my family, they support me, my close friends. Um, I don't really have like a mentor per se, but I do have like, those core people who I know that I can go to if I'm struggling or I need help or I need guidance. Um, I know who to go to, so I'm grateful that I have those people. alongside me.
Yeah, that's important too. And I noticed, obviously, I've been to your business, and you kind of expanded a little bit into products, or I guess merch. So,
Mhm.
what motivated you to expand in that aspect?
I just felt like, oh, this would be like another form of advertisement for me. Not
Hmm.
only that, but I just, you've been to my studio, so you've seen it. I feel like my theme, or just the essence of who I am, is like natural. And so I kind of bring that into my studio space, or I kind of display that into my studio space. And so, for example, I did like these cute little tote bags, and they're cute and like earthy and they're fun. And so I felt like, oh, well, girls can really rock these in the springtime. And then I have like, my cute little logo on there that's very earthy too. So, just wanting, like, I guess, a little bit of who I am and like what my business is to be displayed, but at the same time, like, if people see it and then they're like, oh, what's that, or where did you get that? And so it's a form of advertisement. So I kind of felt like, oh, it's like a win-win.
Yeah. And did you sell out?
I still have tote bags. All the other merch I sold out, like my sweaters. I have a few t-shirts left, but I'm actually meeting with another vendor. And I have some ideas in mind for that. So hopefully by, end of summer, I can get my merch rolling again.
My mom actually has one of your. Did you do t-shirts and sweatshirts, or was it just sweatshirts? She has a sweatshirt, I think. Can you walk us through the process of how you determine your business was ready for expansion? Because I feel like a lot of entrepreneurs are scared to invest in merch, right? What if people don't buy it? What if they don't like it? So how did you determine that? Like, when was the right time?
You know what I did? I guess I'm a very like risky person, if you will. Like I want to take risks even if I fail. Um I'm always gonna do that. I did that when I was launching my business to go full time. That was a big risk. Switching up my studio and now creating two working stations was a risk, like I feel like you just take a risk with everything that you do. And I started selling like different product lines in my studio. And so when I decided to move into that merch direction, it was just a thought that I had. And I shared it with a few people and they kind of hyped me up like, yeah, do it. Like that would be great for you. It'll get the word out there for your business. And too, like girls are going to be rocking like cute sweaters and t-shirts or whatnot. And so it was a risk, and you have to be willing to take risks when you have a business. You can't be scared to fail. Like, what's the worst that can happen? Just start
Yeah.
out.
Yeah, that's true, and it worked out for you. So, what were some of the key steps you took when planning and executing the expansion of your business? So, like, were you putting yourself in the mindset of your consumer? What would she wear? Or as far as like researching vendors, like, tell me a little bit about that, like the process before you made, or while you were making that decision, rather.
I think the first step was figuring out the look that I wanted. So I know that I wanted sweatshirts, because I think around the time that I wanted to launch it, it was we were stepping into the fall season. And so I figured like, oh, cute sweaters, cozy sweaters. I need to find a vendor who has material that I like. I'm super particular with like material and what I like. I think the second thing was coming up with the design. What did I want each sweatshirt to say? How did I want it to like speak to people? And so just getting really creative with that. I literally just sat on my bed one day with a pen and paper and I was just kind of writing different quotes and coming up with different um different cute little ideas of how I wanted to like incorporate brows but kind of speak life. Like I have one sweatshirt that says It says world peace and great eyebrows. And so the way that I did that was I put like a world with a peace sign, and then it just had like an eyebrow. So yeah, just being creative with that, and finding models who wanted to do like videos for my merch. I know for like my tote bags, um I did a cute little video for that to kind of showcase my tote bags. So yeah, just a lot of like brainstorming, right? Before you kind of put it out there, you want to know like what you want to bring forth, the design you want to have before you do it.
Yeah, I love that because you think like brows, like you definitely were very creative on that because I don't know, like me, I'm thinking like how the heck would I incorporate just the concept of eyebrows to a shirt that someone would actually want to wear? You know what I mean? Like
Mm,
that doesn't just say some random logo because to them it's random, it's you, it's your baby. But you did a really good job at making it like aesthetically something that they would actually want to wear in general and low key promoting your business. So that's very smart. Um, do you feel that like those expansions that you did, you mentioned like having another, what did you call it? The studio, what, not,
a station?
station. Okay, so you mentioned adding another station and kind of expanding in various ways. Do you feel that by doing that, your role and responsibilities have evolved or changed because of that?
um Not necessarily. I mean, it's been more time consuming for sure because, for example, like I added that second station and I did that with the purpose of now having or offering brow trainings. And so with that, I was like, oh, well, this will be nice. You know, now I can have brow trainings because I have the extra station, but now it's just going to require me to work more. I might do trainings now on Mondays, which is my day off, or staying in later, coming in earlier. So you just kind of have to make those adjustments, right? If you're expanding and you're adding things, it's just going to require more time and energy.
Yeah, and I think that having that, preparing that in your mindset is important because it's like they say, like you're biting off more than you can chew, right? The idea of
Yeah.
expanding sounds good and you want what comes with that financially, but then you're like, oh shoot, I have to actually put the work in behind this. Um,
Mm-hmm. Everyone, all my clients, like when they see that second station in the studio, they're always, are you hiring somebody else? Like, is somebody going to work with you? And I'm like, pump the brakes. Like, we're not there yet. I think about that sometimes, you know, sometimes I would love the idea of that. I just don't think that I'm there yet. Um, but for now, like, it's just good for my trainings.
and that's really good to know too. Like you said, right now I'm not there yet because you are a risk taker, but you're. It also seems like it's calculated risks too, right? So that
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't blow up in your face. Because I know for me, sometimes I have in the past, and I know other entrepreneurs out there can relate. We have so many ideas and we want to do so much, and then you're setting yourself up for failure because you want to do this, and then but this idea seems cool, and then I kind of want to do that, and you want to go in this direction. So you got to pump the brakes sometimes too on your ideas and your creativeness and know when to launch and when to step out. I think even in that next step.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely believe 100% that I'm a risk taker, and you know, I move in faith. I just trust that the outcome is going to be great regardless. Even if it fails, there was a lesson behind it or there was something that I learned from it. But at the same time, I like to be super like strategic in how I move and not being super impulsive. Um and also I believe that you know, you're given peace when you're about to make certain decisions. And so, if I don't feel peace about it in my heart, then I'm not going to do it. If I feel peace about it, even though I'm just kind of like, I don't know if this is the right move, but if I feel peace and I feel like settled about it, then I'll do it.
Hmm. That's good. That's good advice. And
Mhm.
how would you say you approach or recommend people to approach the financing part of your business, right? So are you are you setting aside a budget for these ideas that you have, or what's your advice on that?
Yeah, like I mentioned, like I've gotten better with like managing my finances. So for sure you want to set like a little budget aside. I kind of do like a monthly budget and like um what I want to target for like the month. So for example, like for June, I'm like, okay, well, what do I want to buy for the studio in June? Like what's my goal for that month, that particular month? And I told myself that for June I wanted to buy my chairs or get my chairs. That's something that I've been wanting to do for the past few months, but the specific color that I wanted has been on back order for the longest. And I was gonna settle and go with like another company, but I really want these chairs. So I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna get them. So now I think they're back on their business page. So I'm gonna go ahead and get those. But just, setting a little budget aside for what you want to accomplish in that specific month is important or is a good idea.
Yeah, I agree. And you did talk about this a little bit, but what marketing strategies did you employ or use to promote when you were expanding your business? And think about like when you're thinking about your target audience, are you deciding like which platforms to use? Like, tell me a little bit about that.
So I only use Instagram right now. That's kind of like where all my advertisement or like where I showcase my work. I don't have like a Facebook page or I don't even have a website at the moment. So it's all through Instagram. And so like I mentioned, I did hire like a few content creators to do videos for me and do like promos for me and stuff. Or on Instagram, they have like that little promotion button on there. So sometimes I pay to be advertised through there, which is great because I've reached a lot of people that way too.
Yeah, that little and that you guys too, if you probably know, but you can base that on your budget, so that can increase as your budget allows, right? You can do like $5 a day or something like that, and it does work.
Yeah.
I've used it a couple times myself. I have a kind of a loaded question here. So, what would you say keeps you either motivated or driven? We always say that motivation is fleeting, so I'd like to use those words interchangeably. What keeps you kind of just, driven to keep going, but also what inspired you to become an entrepreneur to begin with?
Mm-hmm. Um, Man, when I think about like what inspired me, it's kind of crazy because I never imagined myself being like where I'm at in this place. So I never like woke up one day or had this like dream of, oh, one day I want to be an entrepreneur. I went to school for criminal justice and I was doing eyebrows in high school. And it was something that I was just doing on the side for fun. And I just want to say that it kind of fell in my lap. Like I didn't plan on being an entrepreneur or owning my own business. That was never a goal that I had for myself. It just kind of fell in my lap and I ran with it. But with, again, taking that risk, right, to move in that direction, it came with a lot. And there have been plenty of times where I wanted to give up. Like, I can't do this anymore. Like I was feeling like maybe financially I wasn't ready or I didn't have the support I needed or I was dealing with something in my personal life that was just kind of pulling me away from the business.
Hmm.
And during those hard moments, what motivated me was just goals that I had for myself. Like I want that financial freedom. I want to travel the world. I want to be there to support my family if they're going through a hard time and have like a cushion for them, God forbid.
Mm-hmm.
Um, just so many things. And, when I have some hard times or I feel like I want to give up or I don't know like where I'm headed long term, when I get messages from my clients, almost on a daily basis. Like, I love my eyebrows, or hey, I just want to let you know, like, I went somewhere and they stopped me and they were like, your eyebrows are amazing. Where do you go? Or, though, just those cute messages. And I get them all the time. Like, my inbox is flooded with clients of mine and friends of mine, and how they've seen their brows transform, or how they're loving the progress, and how people are like asking them where they go. Like, I love it. And that's what kind of keeps me going, because I just feel like I'm making a difference in my own way. And some people might say like, oh, well, it's just eyebrows, but like for me, it's more than that. It's
Yeah.
somebody's beauty,
Hmm.
making people feel confident about themselves, and
Absolutely.
that makes me happy.
And that just, like, you finish that sentence, it makes you happy. It goes to show that you're the perfect example of, if you're doing something you love, you never really work a day in your life, right? Because you love, this is something that, like you said, you never planned on being an entrepreneur, but it's something that you love and something that you enjoy doing. You enjoy making people feel beautiful and bring that confidence out in them, right? So I love it. Like, that's the epitome of entrepreneurship, right? Doing something
Yeah.
that you love to the point that this is what I'm gonna do full time. This is how I'm gonna make a living, and that's just great. It's a great example of true entrepreneurship, especially for us women. When we find something that we're passionate about and we go all in,
Mhm.
that's when the true, passion behind our work comes out. So I think I'm gonna have to fly to Chicago just to get my eyebrows in there, just to see.
Sure. Love
You gotta come visit me, Sonia. I'll take you.
Yes, yes.
Angie, I wanted to ask you a success that you've celebrated in these last 4 years, or maybe a milestone that you're most proud of. What would you say?
Probably transforming my brow studio. I'm glad that I had the opportunity and like the okay to do that, because I rent a studio space within a salon that doesn't belong to me. I don't own the salon. I rent the studio. And so I'm grateful that, the salon owners kind of give me that flexibility and the okay to kind of do what I want with the room. They trust me and they know that, I'll make something beautiful out of it. And so when I first went into the room, like, man, this is a good, decent amount of space here. It's not necessarily like what I like in aesthetic and like the decor that was going on. But I'm like, man, if I'm going to be here like 80% of the time, I want to feel like I'm at home, and I want to bring
Mm-hmm.
like my own vibe and like my own personality and who I am into the space. And I love, by the way, if there's, aside from like clients or new, clients coming to me and telling me like, man, I love my eyebrows, and giving me eyebrow compliments all the time, I would say the second um compliment I get the most is how peaceful my space is, or how
Mm-hmm.
it makes them feel, or like they leave and they're like, you know what, I had a crazy day today, but when I sit in this chair, I feel at ease and I feel at peace, even if it's for 20 minutes or the 30 minutes that I'm here, and they thank
Yeah.
me, and they're like, thank you for like creating this nice atmosphere for me to like come in and rest. And I'm like, oh my God, that makes me happy too, is that
Yeah.
people can come in and feel so peaceful. And that was the space that I wanted to create. And I was like, man, I don't know if I can really execute that. And it came with
Yeah.
like the colors and how I put up the plants and just like little things. And they always point things out like, I love your plants. Are those real bamboo sticks? Or we like your little fridge. It's so retro. And I just love it. And so I would say that that's probably one of the biggest um, successes that I had in the last 4 years, was really transforming my space and launching my trainings.
Hmm. It always
Nice.
smells good in this in your studio. I can say that. Were you going for Tulum vibes? Because that's what
Sure.
it's giving, Tulum vibes.
Tulum. I've been there 5 times.
it really does get. But I love us. I love even if it's a nail salon or whatever. Like when you go into a space
Mm-hmm.
and it smells like a luxurious spa. It's just like
Yes.
I could just be in like a little small room, but if it smells, mentally like I'm in the most luxurious
Yeah.
spot just based on how it smells. I'm big on like how a place smells. So
Yeah. And you know what? Even me, I've walked into like nail shops and it's so hectic and it's so busy. It's so like all over the place. And I don't mean busy as far as people. I mean just so much stuff going on, clutter, and it's just I walk out. I'm like, never mind. Like I walk out because that's one thing that I always look for, right? How tranquil the
Mm,
space is that they're going to be working on you with. Make sure that the stations that they work at aren't all crowded, and you have that piece with the tech that you're working with, and it's like you said, the smells, right? The smells, the sounds, everything's calm, copacetic. Obviously that's really important for to make people feel comfortable. As it is, they're already trusting you with their face. They want to
mm.
make sure that they feel peaceful, right? So that sounds amazing. That's really important.
yeah,
And I never understood how women fall asleep through an eye wax service, eyebrow wax service.
Wow. Wow.
Just like completely knocked out, where I have to tap them on the shoulder, like, we're done. And they're just knocked out and they're like, girl, it's the music. Like,
Yeah.
I fell asleep. And I'm thinking, like, I don't remember a single day where I've ever gotten my eyebrows done in the past and I'm like falling asleep. If anything, like, just pull these hairs out, you know?
yeah.
Yes.
And I was gonna say that it's very clean in there too. That's another thing because I've been to places where like they'll literally have what they had for lunch, like their Tupperware's still out, or like the
Mm-hmm.
garbage from like a pop can or something. And I'm like,
Not
yo.
professional at
And
all.
now I start
Yeah.
to think like, what about your tools? Are you sanitizing your tools? Because if I could see
Mm-hmm.
everything you had for breakfast and lunch there, then I don't know. You know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
so it's more than two just the aesthetics, I think. Um, so I'm going to shift to work life balance again. That's another comical theme that we say here because some people are very big on it. Some people laugh at it and are like, what even is that? So, what are your thoughts on work life balance if you have it? Or, wait, okay, what are your thoughts on work life balance in general?
I think it's really important. Um, in my younger days, I was just always going out, wanting to be out and about, knowing I had work the next day, and I really wasn't giving like 100% of my. And so, um, I'm just the type of person where like I really try to prioritize my time. I work like on a schedule, and that's just how I am. I'm more like a structured person, and I've always been that way. Um, for example, like if I get invited to go out like on a Friday, I'm just kind of like, I don't know, because I work Saturday. And
Mm-hmm.
so if I do go out Friday, I'm limited. Like it's just gonna be until like maybe midnight or something. So just kind of setting like those boundaries. Sundays are really like my relaxation days. I like to use Sundays to just kind of reset.
Hmm.
Yes.
Do things around the house and run my errands and do laundry. And I just really don't, I try not to focus on work too much on
Mm-hmm.
Sundays. And then I'll just kind of tap in back at it because I'm off on Mondays, but sometimes I do work Mondays, but I'll try to
Mm-hmm.
make it like a half day. So I kind of give
Oh,
all
okay.
my focus on Sunday to like my family or what I have to do at home or some type of self care. And then when Monday rolls around, yes, I'm off, but I kind of use that more to like now tap into like my business. Okay, what do I have to do for work this week?
Mm-hmm.
And so, um,
So it's kind of like an admin day for your
yeah,
business. You're not
mhm,
technically, you're not hands on, but you're still working on your business on the admin, like the
yeah,
back office side of it. Okay, nice.
yeah. So 2 days off, and I use my Sundays more for like self, and then
Mm-hmm.
for admin. If I have to go into work again, I'll do it for like a half a day. But that's kind of how I have my schedule structured, and I kind of stick to that.
Hmm.
Yeah.
That those days, I sometimes do that on Sundays as well. Plan for the week. Like I won't make it a whole work day, so I don't feel like I'm burnt out. But I'll plan and see. Okay, what do I have coming this week? So even like an
Mm-hmm.
hour
Yeah.
or two, just to kind of before your Monday starts, I think is important because
Yes.
if not, Monday hits you like a ton of bricks, and now you're all discombobulated, and you're starting your week off stressful. So
Mm-hmm.
I was laughing because you said in your younger years, and you're not even 30 yet, right?
But I started my business at such a young age, so it almost feels that way.
Feels
Like
like, yeah.
I started years ago, and people are looking at me like, "Girl, stop." But I'm like, started this like 10 years ago.
Nice.
Technically, like 13 years ago, but like in a professional setting, 10 years ago. So it feels like such a long time. And in those earlier years of me like starting out, yeah, it was a little, a little reckless, just not really being super focused or just kind of all over the place. And as I've grown, I've just learned to have more of a structured life. It just works best for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think you're mature because I feel like you have like an old soul. That's if I had to describe you, like you're not your typical. You don't act like the typical person your age. Put it that way. So no,
Thank you for saying. I love my old soul.
yeah,
A lot of
yeah,
people tell me that with my music choice, like when
yeah.
they hear like the music I listen to, that's like what they tell me all the time. Like, you are such an old soul. Like, who put you on with this music? I'm like my grandpa, my mom.
Your mom. And lastly, do you have a tip, tool, or resource? It could be a tip on maybe an entrepreneur who wants to expand like you, or even just somebody who's resonating with your story. But what would be like one of the biggest tips that you would give somebody listening to
Mhm.
you?
I would say my number one tip would be ask questions. Never be afraid to ask questions, and never be afraid to um, reach out to people. Because kind of how I got started was me like figuring out like, well, I want to do eyebrows, but how do I go about it? I didn't go to esthetician school, but I knew that I had this talent. I just didn't know how to move forward with it. And
Mm-hmm.
so my mom had a friend who owned a salon. And one day I remember just sitting at home and I'm like, man, I need direction. Like, I need somebody to point me in the right direction. So I need to reach out to her. And I sent her a text message and I was like, hey, it's Angie. Um, I do eyebrows and I just want to know if you can recommend like a school for me to go to, or if I can work in your salon. And she could have easily said like, no, you're not licensed, or,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, I do hair. Because prior to me reaching out to her, I did reach out to a few others who kind of shut the door on me like, well, you don't have an aesthetics license, so go to school first. Or I don't
Mm-hmm.
know what school to tell you to go to. And so my mom's friend who had the salon, like, I remember her exact words, and she said, come to the salon so I can see your work. That was literally what she said. She didn't say anything else. And that just gave me like so much hope
Yeah.
at that moment, where I was like, man, I feel like I'm getting gonna get an opportunity. And so I
Yeah.
remember I went to the salon, I showed her my work. I can't remember if I brought like a model so she can see like how I did eyebrows. But yeah, she didn't even like question like work. She's like, I'll give you the back room and you can do eyebrows here. Didn't even charge me to rent the back room. And I started advertising myself on Instagram the best way that I could. Now I
Yeah.
look back and I'm like, I can't believe I posted that. But it still had like women reaching out.
Hmm.
And that's how I started with an opportunity at her salon. And this was beginning of 2015. Yeah, beginning of
Wow.
2015. Um, I remember I was a manager at Walgreens and I kind of started doing this on the side. And I was just like working at Walgreens, and on my days off or after work, I was working at the salon, trying to get clients. And that's how it started for me. But had I not reached out to her, and I would have been fearful and scared that she would have said no,
Hmm.
I would have not been where I am today. And so
Yes.
never be afraid to ask anybody questions, because the worst thing they can say is like no, or they don't have an answer for you, but somebody will down
Yeah,
Yeah.
the line eventually they'll have an answer for
Yep.
I love that.
you. Hmm.
I love that.
Yeah,
Don't
it's an
be
awesome story.
Yeah, don't be afraid to shoot your shot. I take two things out of that. Like, don't be afraid to ask, right? Because you never know. Plus, what they say, closed mouths don't get fed. And
Yeah.
Hmm.
also, if you've made it, be that for somebody else. You know, that's
Mm-hmm.
why we created this platform as well, because a lot of women are like,
Mm-hmm.
I need to find a mentor. I want to resonate with another entrepreneur. So even if it's a different field, a lot of the tips that you're giving today, and you're in the brow industry, women in our insurance industry or real estate, whatever, they're going to resonate with that. So I think that it's important to also be that once you feel like you can, you know, I believe if you help other people, like it'll come back to you in return. And yeah, don't be afraid to
Absolutely.
shoot your shot. I've reached out to a bunch of people to have them on the podcast. People that from the outside looking in, you would be like, why would I want to come to your little podcast that you're just starting? Like, I have more followers than you, but
Yeah.
you would be surprised how many people, yeah, once they've made it to a certain level, I feel like they actually get something out of giving back to people. It's like once you've made enough money or you've been successful, I don't know, it's like it gets boring to them or something, and they actually like giving back. So that's really good. I didn't know that that's how your story started, so that's interesting. Um,
Yeah, do it anyway for free, because if you look at my Instagram, it's kind of twofold. So I have like, I'm advertising my business and what I do, and but I also, and I don't know if you noticed this, and it's not like I did it, it just kind of happened naturally, and I didn't notice I was doing it until people were pointing it out to me. But I use like another side of my business to motivate and inspire other brow artists or other artists in general. I post like quotes on there, or I'll share a story,
Nice.
or just anything positive I kind of share on there. And so I've used my Instagram platform for both. And if that's something that I can say that I've done with my social media, is just use that to advertise my business, but at the same time, like, be an inspiration to somebody
Yeah.
else.
I
That's
love
great.
that because what do you say, Sonia, all the time? There's enough business for everybody. It's your saying that you say.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. There's enough money for it. There's enough against us for us to be against us, right? And there's enough business out there for all of us to have.
Hmm.
Some people might think that there's insurance business is saturated or the brow business is saturated, but everybody brings out their own uniqueness or their own service type, to where people gravitate towards your type of business or gravitate to your environment. And I think that it's always good to share. It's not good to gatekeep information because you might be helping someone out, and in this world you never know, tables can turn so easily. You never know what side of the table you turn up on, and you might need that person's help in the future. You might want to collaborate with them in the future, and you didn't even extend your help or support or something in the beginning, their beginning stages, and they don't want anything to do with you. Not because they feel that they're too good or they're more important than you, but because they noticed that you weren't willing to extend that hand to a beginner. So why would
Hmm.
they reach out and help you, right? It's just that you want to be that person that you needed when you were starting out, right? So that's
Yeah.
great that you do that. Everybody needs motivation. I'm very big on like woman empowerment. Obviously, we both are, right, Jackie? Woman empowerment and helping each other. Eyebrows have nothing to do with insurance, right? Except for helping us look good when we're selling it. But it's still right. We want to make sure that we let women know that as entrepreneurs, we all go through it. No matter what field it is, no matter what product we're selling, what industry, we all still go through these ups and downs, just like you said in the beginning. Like, if you haven't gone through it with your business to the point that you've cried and said, oh, why am I doing this? Is this even worth it? Is it worth my time? You're not really an entrepreneur, because it's not all cake, right? We all have those moments. And that's why we have this, so women can see that we all go through it. It's not just you. You're not failing. You're just going through the motions. And, that's why, I mean, Jackie and I don't get paid to do this, but we love doing this because we want to help other women. We want to help other women insurepreneurs or women entrepreneurs that are in different industries. We want to make sure that they feel empowered to keep going. Don't quit. Keep going. You're doing something that you love. Share it with the community. Share it with the world. And I love what you do, that you still motivate and boost people. And that's important.
It is.
Yeah.
I would say, like, I'm not for everybody, like,
Yeah.
yes, I'm a brow artist, and there's a ton of brow artists out there,
Yeah.
but everyone has their own, like, specialty or their own
Yes.
thing that they bring. And for me, I'm a natural brow artist. So if you're looking to get your eyebrows microbladed, I'm not your girl, because I don't do that. I don't provide any, like, permanent makeup services, but I'm all about the natural brows. And so if somebody's looking for that, then they'll find that with me.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah,
And we'll make sure to include.
I was just gonna say, I love that you're willing to post and not see whoever your other brow artists that are following you as competition. Like, you're like, hey,
Yes.
take my tips. I'm not worried about you taking my clients.
Oh, no.
And Angie, if you want to share your Instagram handle with everybody to make sure that they follow, we'll also include it in the description, but we want to make sure that, you give your handle out there and let people know where they can find you.
Yeah, it's at Eyebrows by Angie.
Nice. And you're located in Chicago, correct?
I'm in Elmwood Park. It's a little bit outside of Chicago.
Nice. So go hit up Eyebrows by Angie. I'm gonna have to go to Chicago just for an eyebrow visit, and to visit Jackie, of course, but just for an eyebrow visit for that, guys. Thank you so much, Angie, for joining us. We know that you're busy with your business, your clientele, and we appreciate you sharing your knowledge with us and sharing your entrepreneur experience with us. Thank you, everyone, for joining us on this episode. Don't forget to follow us on Spotify, on Instagram, on YouTube. Subscribe, right? And we've also launched fan mail, which you can actually text the show and give us your thoughts, your opinions, and any questions you might have. We'd greatly appreciate the support. So once again, thank you, Angie, for joining us today. Jackie, I love doing this with you. Hope we can do it much longer.
Yes, and thank you again, Angie.
Of course.
Thanks, Angie. All right, bye, everyone. Thanks again for joining us. See you in the next one.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks for listening to Women Insurepreneurs. We hope you feel inspired and equipped for your journey in the insurance industry. Subscribe for more empowering conversations and connect with us on Instagram at Women Insurepreneurs. Make sure you join our meetup group so you don't miss any of our events. Until next time, keep shining and pursuing your dreams. Remember, your potential knows no bounds.